Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip Shannon, let's get to it. Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, happy New Year's Eve. How are we doing?
Hey, we're doing good, doing good.
I would like to wish everyone out there a much happier New Year.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, go James.
That's good.
Go James. I'm thinking about a cowboy miracle in 2021. Here we go.
I need a miracle. I need a miracle in the Meadowlands.
Oh.
I know they don't play really in the Meadowlands.
That's what Dallas is going to pull off. Here we go.
Yeah.
Skip, there are a lot of things I wish for in 2021. I just don't know about a cowboy miracle. But either way, let's start by discussing your team. We will finally be able to crown the NFC East winner this Sunday. Washington can seal the division with a win over Philadelphia. However, if they lose, then it will be the winner of the Cowboys and Giants game that will be playoff bound. So, Shannon, tell me, what are the scores of the Dallas and Washington games?
Well, as much as it pains me to say this, I do believe the Cowboys are going to go to New York and win this ball game. Skip, the Giants really haven't been competitive the last 3 games. They've lost each of those games by at least 14 points. And in the last 2 games, Daniel Jones, trying to come back from the hamstring injury, has been sacked 6 times. And Skip, we know Baltimore has struggled all year trying to get after the quarterback. They went out and signed Yannick Ngakoue, and they in the offseason, they got Calais Campbell. They've been trying to pressure the quarterback. And for the better part of the year, they really haven't been able to get after the quarterback consistently. And they couldn't stay off of Daniel Jones. The offensive line isn't very good. And plus the fact, Skip, he can't move. You know, when you got that hamstring, Skip, you know, you get out there, you think you can do Kirk Gibson. You can hit a ball over the fence and drag that leg around the diamond, the base pads, but you're not going to do that as a quarterback in the NFL. And a part of what made Daniel Jones successful some of the time this year was his ability to get out of harm's way, use his leg to pick up first downs, and to throw the ball outside the pocket.
He is still listed on the injury report with a hamstring.
Right. And so with that being said, Skip, I just don't see how they're going to, and I know the defenses will put up a great effort, but at some point in time, after 3 and out, and being on the field, as much as I believe the Giants defense will be on the field, they will succumb to the pressure, and the Cowboys will start to pull away from them. So I got the Cowboys winning that first game, the first game, 30, I'm going to say 31-14.
Okay.
The second game, Washington, been flexed. I just believe that Alex Smith will bring stability that Haskins did not bring. And Skip, you mention it all the time. You talk about the ray of hope that Jalen Hurts seemed to have been given the Eagles. I believe Alex Smith will provide that. Now, how he didn't, I don't think he practiced yesterday. Maybe it's precautionary. Maybe they're just trying to say, look, we're going to give you as much.
I think they said they planned for him not to practice.
Right. We're going to give you as much time to rest this calf as we possibly can. We don't want to have to play Heineke. But we will if we have to, Skip. I think that is the last resort. Look, the Washington, the football team, their defense has been a cornerstone all year. They've been great, and they'll need to be great one more game in order for them to win this game. Jalen Hurts is formidable, but teams are starting to sack him. The Cowboys got after him pretty good, Skip, forced him to some turnovers. And the thing that we're starting to see, Jalen Hurts put the ball on the ground. Jalen Hurts put the ball on the ground, Skip. I don't know if you noticed that. Even against the Saints, when they're trying to run out the clock, what did he do, Skip? Put it on the ground. Against that Cardinals, what did he do, Skip? And what did he do last week? He turned it over 3 times. So he will give you...
I thought he put his knee on the ground before he put the ball on the ground.
Who got the ball? I just want to know who got the ball.
Unfairly, My team did.
Well, we'll go back. Hold on. We'll go back to 2014. Was it 2014? No, 2014? Yeah.
Des Carter.
No, he didn't. No, he did. Who got the ball?
Yep.
Okay, then. So same thing will go here. So I'm gonna say the Washington win this game 24-20. Fletcher Cox hadn't practiced all week. I doubt he goes to.
Yep.
D-Jack played 20 plays in the game. Maybe that's precautionary, Skip, coming back. Maybe he plays more this
He didn't
game.
practice with an ankle.
Right, and so maybe
Yep.
they're trying to save him, Skip. So, but I'm going to go Washington football 20. I'm going to go the Eagles, Washington 24, the Eagles 20.
Okay, my turn. I've been telling you for 3 weeks now, I just have a feeling about my team. A feeling I could not have imagined having on the night of December 8th, which happened to be a weird Tuesday night when my team got run out of the stadium at Baltimore. You remember that?
I do remember.
The final score was 34-17. My team gave up another almost 300 yards rushing to Lamar and company. And they fell that night to the bottom of the barrel in what you could write off as the worst division in the history of football. Yeah. They fell to 3-9. Mm-hmm. And I was done. I said I was done. They went to Cincinnati. I could barely watch it. And a miracle started to occur. They actually looked pretty good at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not terrible, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, right?
Right.
We saw what Cincinnati subsequently did to Pittsburgh, and then, for what it's worth, to the Houston Texans. They're not terrible. My team went in there and ran them out of their stadium 30-7. And then my team hung 41 on a San Francisco that held Kyler and company to 12 points the following game, right?
Yep.
And then we saw what my team did to the Eagles, and we know about the injuries, and we know about this and that and the other, but my team was on fire against the Eagles. You could argue that right now my team's about as hot, late season hot, as any team in football. I know I'm not comparing them to the top teams, but just on momentum, heat, just all of a sudden sort of meant to be feeling, they have it. And that's why they're going to go win this game at the Giants.
So that's what you feel. You feel like it's just meant to be.
It's just meant to be.
Everything you've gone through in 2020 is meant to be.
It was the most miserable year of my Cowboy watching life. I have never been so humiliated as I was by 2 losses to our arch rival, with whom we're now tied at the top of the division, Washington. 2 losses. And
they swept you.
They weren't even close. And I thought, of all days, Thanksgiving at Jerry World would belong to us. And it belonged to the visiting team, Washington.
Yep.
It wasn't even close.
It was not.
And they fell apart in the fourth. It was close through 3 quarters, and then it wasn't. They got outscored 21-0 in the fourth quarter.
I'm thinking about flexing you out of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Y'all been terrible the last 3.
You can't. We're grandfathered in.
No.
We're golden. Because we rate on Thanksgiving. We have all the biggest record ratings in the history of a great day, Thanksgiving.
You lose, though.
Okay. We have been losing lately way too much. So the point is that after those games, after what happened against Arizona on Monday Night Football at Jerry World, 38-10 and another 300 yards rushing.
Yep.
Baker and company went in there and rang up 307. My team was on a historic pace to allow the most rush yards in the history of the National Football League. And all of a sudden, we have flipped the script. So, you know what? I'm impervious to any kind of ridicule that's going to come from across the table, because you can say we're the lesser of evils in the NFC East.
You are.
You can say we're only the best of the worst division in the history of football, and you can have that, and I don't care. I even saw a tweet from John Machota, who covers the Cowboys for The Athletic, in which he detailed the Cowboys' quote-unquote road to the Super Bowl. And it goes, Tom Brady at home in a playoff game. Yep. Then it would be, this is all hypothetical, of course. Then it would be at Aaron Rodgers. Then it would be at Drew Brees. Then it would probably be Patrick Mahomes in Tampa in the Super Bowl. That's just pie in the sky. That would be the route. You'd have to beat Brady at Rodgers, at Brees, and Mahomes on a neutral field.
It would be, if they were to do that, it would be the greatest Super Bowl run in NFL history, and it would not even be close. It would be better than the run that Breeze had when he beat Kurt Warner, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning. If they were to run that gauntlet, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, it would be the greatest run in playoff history.
It would be. It wouldn't be the wild card road run that Eli or Aaron Rodgers had to win 3 games on the road to get to a Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. But on degree of difficulty,
yes.
Brady, Rodgers, Brees,
and Mahomes.
Are you kidding me? But the first playoff game is this Sunday at Giants, and the opposing quarterback is Daniel Jones. And I think we got this.
Everything is common. Daniel is his first name, his last name, everything says. Yep. You couldn't ask for, if you had started the season and someone had told you, say, Skip, you guys are going to be terrible for the better part of the season. You'll win, last month of the season, you'll win your last 3, and it'll come down to you in New York, beat Daniel Jones with a bum hamstring, and you win the division if Washington loses.
If Washington loses. So I feel more confident in my team, I will be the first to admit, than I feel confident in Philly.
Yes.
And first, my score for my team. I believe that my team is suddenly able to rush the passer. The force that has suddenly risen from nowhere is Randy Gregory. Mm-hmm. And Jerry was beating his chest in an interview he did a couple days back about, I thought he was the best pass rusher in that draft. I'm not sure he thought he was the best pass rusher, but they did take a huge gamble on him in the second round.
Right.
And they have had to live with all of his demons, off the field issues, drug problems for these 3 years.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, he's back. He's eligible. I'm knocking on wood for him because by all accounts, I was close with Herman Edwards, Coach Herm, obviously, at ESPN. And Jerry asked Herm to be a mentor to Randy Gregory, and he tried for a whole year, and he really loved the kid.
Right.
But he had a hard time saving the kid from himself.
Couldn't get through to him.
Couldn't get through to him. And if Herm can't get through to you, trust me,
you out there.
You're out there, way out there. Well, somebody, he, in the end, you have to get through to yourself.
Correct.
Okay, so he got through to himself for the moment, and he is showing out because every time I look up, 94 flashes in that metallic blue. So I expect him and DeMarcus Lawrence to get after Daniel Jones. And I expect, because they don't run the ball very well, they're 26th in rushing, ranked. Their rushing offense is ranked 26th by Pro Football Focus. I don't think Wayne Gallman can do enough damage to us. He'll do some damage, and they'll score some points because my defense is still not very good. And by the way, it does trouble me that Leighton Vander Esch has got an ankle and he hasn't practiced. It sounds like he's not going to be able to play.
Okay.
So that would be advantage you. But I still say Andy Dalton is playing at a high level. Again, for the NFC least, he's playing at the highest level.
Yeah, no question. It's not even close.
Last 3 games, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. Meanwhile, my defense has suddenly gelled and fired, and they've got 10 takeaways to only that 1 giveaway. So all of a sudden, in turnover differential, we're leading the league over the last 3 games. So Andy Dalton has almost like a soul connection, some sort of red-hot chemistry with Michael Gallup. Well, okay, if Joe Judge, remember, they've got the 10th best defense in football. They have allowed the 10th fewest points in football.
Right.
So I respect their defense. But I think my offense is hotter than their defense is right now. So I think Andy Dalton can hang 30 on them. What'd you say, 32?
I gave 30. I said 31-14.
31, okay. I got 30 because if you want to double Michael Gallup, good luck with Amari Cooper, and even better luck with CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
It's hard to stop them. And Ezekiel Elliott, I think he said after the game the other night, he was the healthiest he's been all year. I don't see the burst, but I see the heart. He was running hard. So when you have him and Tony Pollard, you got a 1-2 combination, a little thunder and lightning, and you've got those 3 lethal receivers, and the offensive line has been credible. It's been workable. It's been just barely passable, and it's enough that they can score 30 points. Because look, they're what, 30, 41, and 37. So they've averaged 36 in the last 3 games.
And I know you were counting on Zach Martin, but it looks like it's going to be doubtful that he plays.
Like, now Jerry's saying, well, for the potential playoff game, that he would be on track for that. But he didn't. they're basically writing him off.
Skip, I would definitely rather have him try to deal with Shaq Barrett and JPP as opposed to bringing him back now. Because if you don't have him during the playoffs and you got to face JPP and Shaq Barrett, it ain't going to be a real problem.
Well, it'd probably be a problem anyway, even if he does play. But the point is, I got Dallas 30-20.
Okay.
And in the nightcap, the flex game,
you believe the Giants can get to 20 points with a quarterback with a bum ham?
everybody gets to 20 points against my defense except for Cincinnati.
Philly didn't.
Yeah. Well, I agree, but it felt like they were. They jumped out.
It looked like they were going to get to 30.
Yep, it did. Nightcap. I love Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, it's time to rise and shine. Do me a solid. I need you. My biggest fear about the Eagles is that in their heart of hearts, their Cowboy-hating hearts, they hate the Cowboys more than you hate the Cowboys.
They do.
That it's going to be subliminally hard, just sort of subconsciously hard for them to dredge up the effort and emotion required to win the division for the Dallas Cowboys, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think the Eagles definitely hate the Cowboys more than they hate the Washington football team. Now, that's not to say, Skip, they're not going to go out there and play hard. But it's like, who would we rather have represent the NFC East? The Cowboys, where they front-running, maniacal fan base, or the Washington football team? They don't even have a name.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I don't think they hate Washington.
No.
I never got that feeling.
No.
It's not arch rivalry.
Everybody hates the Cowboys.
Everybody in that division hates the Cowboys. And our arch rivals are Washington.
Right.
But I got to tell you, Eagles are like 1A. Yeah. They're somewhere in there.
Yes.
And I've told you, as a lifelong Cowboy fan, my oldest feelings about this division are that I hate the Eagles worse than I hate Washington. I just hate them. I don't like their uniforms. I don't like anything about them. And now a quarterback I love is their quarterback. I think he's going to save their day and going forward over Carson Wentz, your man. But in the end, I need him to save me. So I just need him to return the favor for all the support I've given him on this show. And he does have his weapons. I think D-Jack is going to play.
I believe he'll play.
And Alshon is going to play. And Ertz and Goddard's he missed practice, but I think he's going to play. And Fulgham and Greg Ward Jr. are going to play.
Yep.
And Miles Sanders is going to play. That's enough weapons that you should be able to score some points on this defense.
Right.
They don't rush the passer that well except for Chase Young.
Yeah.
So if you can block Chase Young or nullify him or neutralize him a little bit and give Jalen some time, I think he can score some points on this defense.
Right.
I got it 23-20 home team. Eagles, fly, Eagles, fly. And if you don't, it will be die, me, die. Because that's what's going to happen.
Well, we got it very close. I got 24-20 Washington. You got it 23-20
23-20. And this will be high drama. And yet, in the end, I just believe this team has taken off. I think it's meant to be. And you know what? I don't care what happens after Monday. I just want to come in one day on Monday and sit over here and pound this desk and say, you know what, to you.
Nope.
And it will be the last time I'll be able to say that, because then I have no more faith after that, and I don't care. I just want to win the division and have one build-up to one home playoff game. And after that, I will let the chips fall on my head, because they'll probably fall on my head.
I don't want you to have that moment, because all you're going to do is gloat, and you're going to talk about the whole offseason, even though your record was terrible, how you won the division, and you had a home playoff game, and yada, yada, yada. There's something to build on. And I don't want to hear that for the rest of the 2021. So, with that being said, I just need Alex Smith to do me this solid. Just do what he's done. Hey, just don't turn it over. And Chase Young and those two guys, Payne and Allen inside, get after the quarterback. Look, hopefully McLaurin can go. If he can't, he's going to lean heavily on Logan Thomas. And I like Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas was a college quarterback who transitioned to the tight end. He had a nice year, Skip. He's more than serviceable at that position.
I agree.
Run nice routes, can catch the football.
Yep.
So I just think they have enough. They definitely have enough. But they're going to have to rely on the defense, and the defense is going to have to play better than what they played Sunday against Carolina. But I think after a while, they got demoralized because their quarterback was just absolutely doing nothing.
Yep. Okay, I will concede this. The best story in the division would obviously be Washington.
Yeah.
Head coach has gone through chemo, Ron Rivera, and Alex Smith is coming off 17 surgeries, and his both legs have been bothering him.
And a name change.
And, yeah, that's true. And a great name change.
Yes.
So it would feel like the momentum off the field would be for them. The emotional momentum would be theirs.
Right.
But everybody, the world is full of Cowboy fans. It is America's team, and all of a sudden America's team is back in the saddle.
Well, I know one in particular. I think our boss Shanks would really like to see the Cowboys make the playoffs. And we get that game. They get that game either Saturday or Sunday. Probably don't know when they would play.
You better believe Eric Shanks is a Cowboy fan at this moment.
So I know.
They rate.
You divvy the games up, Skip. So ESPN will get one and NBC will get one.
Yep.
But they're not getting that one.
Do you want to see Tom Brady at Washington or Tom Brady at Dallas? It just has a ring to it.
It does.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
And here we go.
Yep.
Meant to be, I got a feeling.
Okay.
Meant to be, I got a feeling. I'm going to remember those words, Skip, come Monday. And I hope that we can play them back for you with a smile.
I will be repeating them on Monday.
Will you show up on Monday if it doesn't go your way?
If they lose?
Yeah.
Have I ever not shown up?
Fair enough.
I feel so confident right now, more confident than I've ever felt, that I don't think there's any reason to even have any doubt about this.
Okay, no doubt.
I don't have to worry about not showing up, because why wouldn't I want to show up to gloat?
What about jinxing them? You used to be I'm not going to jinx them. I'm not going to say anything.
This is the first time in my life, in my career, I'm not threatened by the jinx because I got a feeling.
All right, you got a feeling. I'm going to leave it at that.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I welcome in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
Well, LeBron had no problem getting a birthday win over Skip Spurs last night. The King led the Lakers in scoring with 26 points, and it was also the 1,000th straight game in which LeBron scored double digits, making him the first player to ever do so. AD and Dennis Schroeder combined for 41 points, and Wesley Matthews poured in 18 off the bench on a perfect 6 for 6 from three-point range. So, Shannon, how impressive was the Lakers' win last night?
Skip, I thought they did some really, really good things. Concerning to me is still the turnovers. Skip, they would be up 14 points, and then they go 4 straight turnovers, and the next thing you know, the Spurs are back within 8. They were up 18 at one point, and then they go 4 straight turnovers. The next thing you know, the team, they're only up by 8 points. I thought LeBron did some really good things last night. I still need to see AD become more aggressive. I need AD to take the mindset of Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder, I'm trying to score the basketball. I'm trying to get it in. I love Wes Matthews. He finally seemed to have found his stroke last night. They got 39 bench points. Guys played well in their role last night. But I still need to see AD become more aggressive. And don't get frustrated. The ball don't go in, so what? I don't care. Get it again. I want him to demand that Schroeder gives him the basketball when he's on the block or wherever he wants it at when he feels he has an advantage. And that's all the time. No one can match up, because if you're big, he can take you outside. If you're small, he can take you down to the block. But he should demand. He should not, Frank Vogel say, AD, every time you come out of a game and you got less than 20 shot attempts, you owe me for however many you come under 20 shot attempts, that's a suicide.
I would agree with that.
He's got to demand. AD is too good. He was efficient last night, 9 of 15, Skip. But AD, nah, AD.
Also 9 of 15.
No. I don't want you to 9 of 15.
Yep.
I want him, if he wants to be like 6 of 11, I can live with that. But I need AD.
You know what he said right before the season started? I am a starter. I came here to start.
I ain't got no problem with him starting,
Yep.
Skip. He's helping LeBron. LeBron is off the ball the majority of the time. And Skip, if you notice,
Assists are careening downward,
Yeah.
right?
And it might be a situation, Skip, where he has his lowest assist total probably since 2016 because he's going to be in a very different role. It seems like Schroeder's going to have the ball in his hand. And if you notice another thing, although his assists are down, what do we start to see creeping up? His minutes. So he's like, okay, well, I ain't got to do all this other stuff. I'm fresh. Let me go on and get these minutes out the way. But 26 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and for the 1,000th consecutive time, he scored double figures. Now, let's put this in perspective. James Harden, we know what he represents. James Harden has 411 consecutive games of scoring double figures. Let's put this in another perspective. Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all times, is 153 consecutive games. So somebody got their work cut out for him to get this record. That's if he stops right now. By the time he does, Skip, that thing might be 1,500 games, which will never, ever, ever, ever be touched again.
So now you're crowing about your man scoring 10 or more points in a game.
Jordan had the record.
Yeah.
We got it. I mean, so we kicked up.
Do you realize you have now played almost 300 more games than Michael Jordan played in his career? 300.
Yeah.
It's all longevity-based. That's all you got are longevity-based records. That's why he's playing every game.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Has he played longer than Kareem? No.
No.
Did Kareem get a record? Has he played longer than Kobe or Duncan? Do they got a record? So clearly it's not just longevity-based because Robert Parrish played 22 years and Vince Carter played 22 years, and they ain't got the record. So clearly it's not just longevity-based. Stop doing that.
LeBron James is 6 feet 9 inches tall and weighs 260 pounds.
Hell, Kareem was 7'2".
Okay? I don't think he weighed 260 pounds. I don't.
Nah, he didn't.
LeBron can literally roll out of bed and get an automatic 10 points a night. He could literally come straight from bed to the floor and tip it off, and he would score more than 10 points. Right?
Maybe.
Maybe so. So I'm not putting much, if any, stock in that longevity record. But way to go. And it is quickly the lead story on every website.
Yeah, that's a bigger 5,000.
Okay, here we go. My turn. I feel like I got snookered into a bet with you, and you proposed the bet that your team would sweep my team in 2 games in San Antonio, the second of which will be played on Friday night, tomorrow night.
Right.
New Year's Day night.
Yep.
And I said, done, got it. Snookered, though, because I thought LaMarcus Aldridge would play. He had a sore knee the previous game on Sunday night, but I just thought he would play. And suddenly at tip-off, as the Spurs are wont to do, nah, he's out.
Out.
And that's a huge loss for me, especially against your team. And then I thought Derek White, another starter for my team, a second starter for my team that I'm about to discuss, was on track to come back from a toe injury. And I thought this was the game he was going to play. And suddenly, mysteriously, I don't know, at tip-off, he didn't play.
Nope.
And all of a sudden, I'm down 2 starters, and I have to play 24 minutes worth of Drew Eubanks, undrafted out of Oregon State.
He played good. He blocked Trez.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. Could we see that?
Yeah.
This is Drew Eubanks on your newest edition, Trez. I keep telling you, he's just too little. He's just too little. Drew Eubanks, undrafted out of Oregon State, just did that. He's their head cheerleader on the bench. And then, wait a second. Was that DeMar DeRozan on the other end? He posterized poor Trez. He posterized him because Trez can't even get up to block DeMar DeRozan's shot.
Well, first of all, DeMar DeRozan got ups. I don't know if people realize that DeMar DeRozan can dunk. And he almost had a dunk in the Olympic Games where he did a 360 on a guy. But, Skip, the thing is what? Trez is hustle. Trez doesn't have outstanding leaping ability.
He did hustle back on defense to his chagrin because he got caught.
He probably should have left that one alone.
He should have jogged up the floor, right?
But that's not him, Skip. You know, Trez is going to give you his effort. He's going to give you everything he got. And Skip, it happens. It's hard for me to imagine. Hold on. Terry Rozier just posterized Kevin Durant 2 nights ago. You ain't even mentioned that.
No, I saw it.
I know you saw it.
Kevin wasn't really into it.
Now you got hold on. But let it have been LeBron James. Let it have been LeBron. When Jason Tatum dunked on him, and especially Jaylen Brown, Oh, LeBron James. Oh, you let
This wasn't LeBron. This was Montrezl Harrell.
No, I'm saying, but you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got it. Well, you could have brought up Kevin.
Why you show Trez? That ain't got nothing to
Because
do with
it was back to back in the same sequence. It's rare that you see some guy named what?
Eubanks.
Drew Eubanks?
Yeah.
Drew Eubanks played 24 minutes last night. He's all of 6'9". What is Trez? 6'6", maybe?
Maybe.
I'm just telling you, he's too short to have huge impact on your team. He's not a post player, even though he can score in the paint like crazy.
Right.
He can't defend the paint, and that's the liability to playing him high minutes.
Look, but I tell you what he did give us last night, in those little 23 minutes that he did play, he gave us 10 and 9.
Not bad.
We give us effort. That's what we need. We need guys that's going to scrap, give us a couple of extra possessions. He had 3 offensive rebounds. We only had 7, so he had almost half of those. Trez is gonna be just fine. You see, we try to put him in that closing role, but that's okay. Hey, then we brought Keith in to finish. We're just trying to find a lineup that we can close with. And it took us a while to find a lineup that we could close with. You know, last year it ended up being Bron and AD, and then you had Kuz, you had Rondo. A lot of times it was KCP. But we're going to be just fine. I like what I saw. I just hate the turnovers because this game was supposed to be over a lot earlier than what it was.
Well, one reason that it should have been much closer than it was I counted, this is unofficial, that my team, my Spurs, missed 10 layups. I'm talking about shots point blank off the glass that trickled off the front of the rim. I had 10 of them. And if you give me 6 of them, maybe they're in the game. Maybe they steal the game. Did you see the layups? How many times were you sitting back saying, what is wrong with them?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay. And then how about this? Wesley Matthews comes into this game 0 for 8 from 3, and you are killing him on yesterday's show. Killing him, and all of a sudden, he makes all 6 of his threes, and I'm saying, who is that guy?
Wes Matthews.
What? Where did that come from? How do you predict that?
He was due.
Is that what you diet do?
No. He was
diet do.
Skip. Now you know the man. Now the man he played really well. I think he started in Portland, turned that into a big contract. And then he played well in Dallas. And in the first couple of games, he wasn't even close
to what he was.
He's a good player.
I agree. But 6 for 6 at San Antonio out of the blue. Happy birthday, LeBron, right?
He let the three go. You let the three go.
So my team gave him 10 gifts, as in 10 missed layups. And then he gave LeBron 6 gifts, as in 6 for 6 from 3. Well, that's just too much. You're going to win that game.
And we were 14 to 26. Now, you notice we shooting the threes better, Skip.
Well, if you get 6 for 6 from one guy, you're going to be 54%, which is what they were, right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, back at the ranch, back at Staples Center, what was happening?
We're going to talk about that. We're talking about nothing.
No, we're going to talk about it right now. Because I don't know, silly me, I might have been the only one watching this, but I watched my Clippers play the same team that had beaten you by 8 points on Monday night in that same Staples building.
Yes.
By 8. It was 115-107 Portland.
Yep.
And last night, it was over after a quarter because that masked man, Kawhi, came back wearing a mask. And I'm not talking about a COVID mask. I'm talking about a protective mask.
Yeah.
A plastic mask, a see-through mask on the floor because he was playing with 8 stitches or 10 stitches in his mouth. I think it was 8 in his mouth. And he sucked it up. He played.
Man, stop telling me he sucked it up and played.
It was over after a quarter. And my team won by 23 over the same team that beat you by 8.
Well, Skip, you look at it.
So does that mean my team's 31 points better than
No, it means Dame struggled last night.
Yep.
He was 0 for 8 from the three-point line. He was 3 of 14 from the floor. The number that they got from Trent Jr. He didn't even play.
He has a bad ankle.
So
no big deal.
No.
So you couldn't close against Portland, but my team closed them out after a quarter.
Well, look, Dame struggled. He's human. Dame struggled. There's no Gary Trent Jr. I mean, you're gonna get 28 points off the bench from Gregg Trent Jr. They don't win a lot of games. And if you get Dame to shoot 3 for 14 from the field and 0 8 from 3, you'll probably beat the Portland Trailblazers. One of those guys need to be extremely hot, and they need to get the production like they got from Gregg Trent Jr. off the bench against the Lakers. Now, they'll be a major player. That didn't happen. Give the Clippers their credit. They won the game. They played well. They shot the 3-ball well, Skip. I mean, you're going to shoot what they shoot from the 3-point line. 8.
They shot 47.
47%. Well, if they're going to shoot that, okay. Y'all won.
All I know is the Clippers, even though they got embarrassed by Luka and company on Sunday after they had celebrated their Christmas Day, and they had a 12:30 tip-off in Pacific
They ain't got nothing to
time.
do with it.
It had everything to do with it.
No, it doesn't, Skip.
And Paul George said, we just took the day off, and they lost by 51. They were down by
Don't do that.
50 at halftime.
When have you ever known Magic? When you ever known Bird, Magic, Jordan, LeBron? When have you ever known guys, the great players, to say, "Oh, we took the day off"? When have you ever?
I
Kobe,
appreciate you putting Paul George in the same conversation with
But
those
everybody
guys.
want to talk about, oh, Mamba mentality. Mamba talked to Kobe, and Kobe told me this. Kobe would have never said I took a day off.
All I know is my team's now 4-1, and yours is 3-2. Who knew?
Hold on. Is the season
Who
over?
knew? I don't know.
You still got
we already
65
beat you head-to-head. We beat your tails.
Ooh.
Or I should say Paul George, PG-13, did a playoff P on you.
And then what did he do? What did he do Sunday?
Pandemic P.
Yeah, exactly. PG 13% from the floor.
Yeah.
That's what he was.
Okay.
We are
4-1.
not done
Okay, your
talking
day
about
coming.
this
You
game.
gloated-
We're going to get
you
back
already
to
gloated again.
the
Okay.
Lakers and
I'm having a
Spurs
good
because
week
there
this
was
week.
more from that game we're going to get to. But I want to step away to discuss Tom Brady and the Bucs because they're tied with the Seahawks for the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl. 11-1, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. And Bruce Arians is adding pressure now to Brady and the team. During an interview yesterday, Arians said that this year was, quote, Super Bowl or bust. So, Shannon, do you like that he said this?
Skip, everybody knows that. That's it. When you're dealing with a Brady, when you're dealing with a Peyton Manning, when you're dealing with Mahomes, Skip, Aaron Rodgers, that's the expectations. You can't get around it. It's not good enough to just win the division. It's not about NFC championship. Skip, that man has won 9 AFC championship games. You think he gives a damn about going to the NFC championship and that's it? No, it's all about Super Bowls. He's made that abundantly clear. At this point of his career, it's all about rings. And if it doesn't get a ring, it doesn't mean a thing. So all Bruce Arians did was tell you what everybody already knew, that Tom Brady in this season is come down to this. Are we going to be in Tampa playing for and winning the Super Bowl? If not, this was not a success. That's what Tom Brady plays for. That's what and he's a great, look, there are levels of greatness. He's at the highest. He's at the highest video game. You know, whatever video game you guys are playing now, whatever the highest level is, that's what Tom Brady represents. And what he's chasing, it ain't Pro Bowl. Yeah, it'd have been nice to go to another team and make the Pro Bowl. He didn't do that. Yeah, it'd be nice to get, but that is not what he plays for. Tom Brady is all about Super Bowls. Can he get another one? And that's all that matters. So Bruce Arians did not tell me anything that I didn't already know. But that same pressure is on Patrick Mahomes. That same pressure is on Aaron Rodgers, is on Drew Brees. Once you get to a certain level, once you become a grandmaster in chess, that's all that matters. If I win some little local competition, they don't do anything for me. I need to be Kasparov. I need to be Bobby Fischer. That's what I need to do. So for Tom needs to go win a Super Bowl. It ain't about no AFC winning the division or winning the NFC. That ain't what it's about for him. He's about Lombardis. He's got 6. He's trying to get 7, maybe 8. Tom Brady is trying to set that mark out there so far that nobody's ever going to get it. Like Gretzky with the MVPs, the Hart trophies, ain't nobody getting 9. I don't care how good a hockey player he is, Sidney Crosby's the next this, and Alexander Ovechkin is the next that. You ain't getting that many. And Tom Brady said, you're not going 6? Patrick Mahomes, you think you're going to get, okay, let me get one. I'm going to get one more. So you have to go a little further to try and catch me. So I'm not surprised. And Skip, you know B.A. When have you ever known B.A. to bite his tongue or hold back? B.A. can't hold a secret. That's why he could be in the military, because he told everything. Whatever they discuss, we got the plan. We go to 300 out. Hey, B.A. said, we coming.
No, he would announce to the enemy, we're coming over here. We're coming right over through here.
So I'm not surprised that B.A. said that, but all he did was state the obvious.
Okay, quick question. Do you remember back in the day when Vince Young was a Philadelphia Eagle and suddenly they won the offseason? And he uttered that magical phrase, we got a dream team. Remember that?
Yes.
And then what happened?
They laid an egg. But they didn't have a dream team. They had a nice little setup.
They had a nice
But you got to go
setup.
play football, though.
What happened LeBron's first year with the Heatles, as they called them, Miami Heat, with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and company. What happened? Well, they flamed out in the finals, and the point was, we need another year to figure it all out, right? So is it fair to suddenly say this dream team, quote unquote, can be thrown together and they can go win a Super Bowl? Is that fair?
Well, it's not fair, but that's what comes along with him, Skip. Skip, if there's something you've never heard Tom Brady said once he started winning Super Bowls, in which they didn't win the Super Bowl, we had a good year. Because a good year for them, a good year for a lot of teams is, winning your division, winning 13, 14 games, win your division, make a playoff run. You never heard him say that. Peyton Manning never says that. Aaron Rodgers, no.
Okay. Bruce Arians would have been within his rights, though, when asked that question, to temper expectations by saying, hey, remember, we threw a lot of new pieces into our puzzle this year, and it may take us a little while to figure it out. I hope we figure it out this time, but maybe it'll be next year. You couldn't crush him for saying that, because that's more the truth of it.
That's more coach speak.
Yeah.
But that's not BA speak.
Okay, it's not BA speak. So I'm with you about, I love that he acknowledged this, because he embraced it and he owned it, because it is the flat out in your face truth.
It is.
Even though they added the GOAT quarterback and then they added the GOAT tight end. And then, wait a second, they go get Antonio Brown when they're 6-2 and try to force him into the mix. And remember, they added Leonard Fournette on the fly and LaShawn McCoy on the fly. Everything's new there. And then they are playing 4 rookies a lot of snaps, because Tristan Wirfs has started every game at right tackle. And I think he's been really good, because Pro Football Focus loves him. Okay? So that's a stalwart, but he's a rookie.
Right.
And it's all new to him. And Antoine Winfield Jr. has become a staple in the secondary as a raw rookie. Playing free safety. You love it? I try to love it, but I realize he's going to make some mistakes.
Right.
And they are torchable. And then my little man, Keyshawn Vaughn from Vanderbilt, their 3rd-round pick, he's playing more and more, in part because Ronald Jones was
hurt with a finger.
Yeah, had a finger that was fractured. I think he's going to be back for Sunday. They said probably, maybe, but at least for the playoff run. But Keyshawn Vaughn ran 15 times at Detroit for 62 yards. So you're playing another rookie. And then Tyler Johnson has caught some key balls for them, another rookie out of Minnesota, in their receiver rotation. He's fallen out a little bit because Antonio's taken more and more of the targets and snaps. But the point is, that's a lot of new pieces to throw into a team that was 7-9 and had a losing tradition. And then to just snap your fingers and say Super Bowl or bust, is that fair? It's not fair, but it is reality.
Skip, when LeBron James goes anywhere, what's the expectation?
Okay, I got it.
He went to the Lakers. The Lakers hadn't been to the playoffs in years, and they got all these. They got B.I. Young, Lonzo Ball Young, Kuz, all these young guys. It's Kevin Durant has been off for 18 months. What's the expectation when you go to Brooklyn Nets? It's championship or bust. That's what comes along with these transcendent and generational guys. That's the expectation.
Okay, but with KD and Kyrie, I think expectations were tempered because they were both coming off injuries. Kevin, a very serious injury that cost him so much time that you say, is he really going to be the same? I didn't get runaway expectations like they're going to sweep the East, you know?
No, not sweep, but now, Skip, they're looking at him. They're like...
Now you are.
Man, Kevin Durant look like the Kevin Durant. Oh, they favor... Basically, everybody who might have thought it was going to be Milwaukee or might have been Philly have switched their pick and says, if those 2 guys stay healthy, they're coming out of the East. Because that's the expectations when you're dealing with guys. And that's just the expectation that comes along when you have Tom Brady on your roster. It's Super Bowl or nothing. That's all it is.
Okay, so before the year started, I picked Tampa Bay to win it all. To certainly win the NFC. It feels weird saying that Tom Brady's in the NFC, but he is. And I believe he chose Tampa Bay because the Super Bowl is going to be played in Tampa Stadium.
No, I believe he chose Tampa Bay because they had Mike Evans, they had Chris Godwin.
I got that, but the cherry on top for him was, hey, no home team has ever played a home Super Bowl game. And he thought, that'd look good on the resume, on the legacy, wouldn't it?
If you think about it, Skip, of all the places he could have gone, that have the talent that he would need to accomplish, that probably was it. Other than New Orleans, had Drew, and Sean Payton made it clear, like, yeah, we were going to make a run at him, had Drew chose not to come back. Okay, so when you look at it.
Or, the 49ers have acknowledged that they thought hard about it, right?
Man, with that running game and Tom Brady play act, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch might be kicking themselves in the butt. They might be kicking each other in the butt. I can't believe we turned this opportunity.
Kittle and Debo and Ayuk the kid.
Yeah.
He'd be a rookie, but
with
again,
that running game, though, Skip.
No, I got it. And the defense was hellacious good, and then it just got decimated.
Well, just think, okay, yeah, Brady has 11 turnovers, but hell, Mullins have that many by himself. And he only started about 7-8 games, and then you throw in Garoppolo. Garoppolo's a turnover machine. So imagine how good the defense would have been had they not to play as many snaps. That's what a defense can become good if you make them play normal. But if you make them play fewer snaps, and now they're fresher, and that's what we're seeing from Tampa. They're playing fewer snaps, so now they're able to get after the quarterback even more. You look at them over the last 3 games. Brady with the expectation he's Tom Brady. This is what you expect. It's like, Skip, it's just like if Jay-Z is singing the hook on your song, you expect it to be great. If Weezy's on it, if Drake's on it, man, it's going to be all right. Nah, you don't go get one of them. You don't get Quincy Jones to produce your track or Dr. Dre to produce your track just for it to be average. You're thinking top notch. When you go sign that guy, you know what the expectations are. Now, you might not want to admit it, but everybody knows what it is.
Okay, so when I picked them, there was that little voice in the back of my head saying, beware the dream team, because it's hard to throw it together on the fly, and it's even harder when I saw the schedule and I thought, you're going to make them open at New Orleans?
I believe you better get them this year. I believe this year, if you don't get them this year, I think they'll be better. They'll be better,
do
even better.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Shannon Sharp said Tom Brady's team will be better next year. Okay. So he's not going to go home after this.
No, he's not going home. His season was too good. You're not retiring on that. But I also don't want to see him retire throwing for 1,000 yards and limping up the field like Johnny Unitas.
I don't either.
Or Joe Namath Skip out here with the Rams. I don't want to see that either. But he's coming back. He's coming back, win, lose, or draw. But I just think they'll be better. His season this year reminds me of Peyton.
Yep.
You remember Peyton's first year? They got there, and, they won the division. Peyton and won like 10 games straight, and then they lost in the divisional round to the Ravens. Flacco throws that Hail Mary pass and ended up going to overtime, and they won and Tucker kicked the game-winning field goal. But then they came back the second year and got to the Super Bowl even though they lost.
Yep. Would you believe for the LA Times, I covered that Rams team featuring Joe Namath in his last hurrah. I was very close with Joe. And it was the saddest sight I've ever seen in sports. Him trying on 2 broken knees, just ruined knees, and they didn't have anywhere near the technology to try to fix them. He couldn't practice, so he would go over to Long Beach, Poly High School, where all, and they had a swimming pool. He'd go swim in the pool during practice because he couldn't even walk. And that's how he ended in a playoff game out here in the Coliseum against the Vikings in the rain. When it doesn't rain out here very often. It just rained earlier this week.
Right.
But when it rains, it rains.
Right.
And it was as sad a sight, and I don't want to see that guy go out that way.
Right.
And I don't believe he will allow himself.
I don't believe he'll allow himself to do that either.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammon made history last night when she became the first woman to serve as an acting NBA head coach. Gregg Popovich was ejected in the second quarter, and Hammon took over from there. LeBron said it was a beautiful thing, seeing Hammon, quote, barking out calls from the sideline, and Frank Vogel said, quote, she's going to be a great head coach one day. So, Shannon, do you see her getting an NBA head coaching job?
I do, Skip, but it's going to have to be an owner that's bold and very visionary. Yep. Now, as these younger owners are coming in, I think there's more likely to be one of them. Now, the only owner that's currently in the NBA that I believe has the moxie and the vision to do this would be Mark Cuban. But he's very happy with Rick Carlisle. Yep. And Rick Carlisle is a damn good coach. Mm-hmm. But Mark Cuban, I can see Mark Cuban doing something like this. The question is, Skip, who's going to be the Branch Rickey? Who's going to let Becky Hammon be the Jackie Robinson? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get some criticism, Skip. I mean, just with anything. Because, you know, women ain't got no business coaching no man. What she know about basketball? Mm-hmm. She ain't playing the NBA. Skip, you know how it is. Yep. So who's going to be bold enough? This is, man, I don't care what the fans say. I don't care how it looks. I believe with her resume and the amount of time that she spent on the sideline and the amount of time she spent around Gregg Popovich, mm-hmm. coaching and being in meetings and sitting in on those situations, I believe she's ready to lead a team. And so it's just going to take that person who is going to be Branch Rickey, Skip, who's going to give her that opportunity. But I believe she's qualified. And I think, could she get a head job at college? Sure, she could. Mm-hmm. I'm sure she's been called numerous times, Skip, to get women's jobs.
She has.
I don't know.
Florida was the latest that offered the women's job.
Yeah. She's on
her alma mater, Colorado State, offered her the men's job, and she turned it down because she wants to be an NBA head coach.
Skip, because that's, you know what, okay, let's just say she takes the job at Colorado State. That's a great, she's the first woman to be a head coach at a major university in college. That don't have the same ring and cachet.
No.
She's the first NBA female head coach. And I believe she's very deserving. I believe she's going to get an opportunity. How much is it going to be the opportunity in San Antonio? How much longer is Pop going to be on the chair? I don't know, Skip, but I do believe she's going to get an opportunity. But it's going to take somebody bold. It's going to take somebody with moxie, because although you and I and how we see things, everybody don't see things the way we see things. And so it's going to have to be an owner that probably some of his fan base is not going to take kindly to that. Because, Skip, you get used to what you're used to seeing. You've always seen men coach men. And for the most part, you've always see women coach women. Now you see a lot more men coach women college basketball. But this is so I believe she gets an opportunity. I hope she gets her opportunity. She seems to know what she's talking about. Hey, you're like, hey, pick up the pace, and she was calling out sets. I'm like, okay, Becky, do your thing.
Let me tell you how much I believe in Becky Hammon being a head coach in this league. A year ago, as you recall, Tim Duncan tried being an assistant coach for Gregg Popovich. It's hard. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of film study. It's a lot of coaches' meetings. It's a lot of drudgery.
Well, what did Pop say about Duncan? Yeah, I didn't think it's going to be a long term. No. I didn't think it was long term in his future.
Okay, but one night last season, Pop got tossed.
Yeah.
And I was outraged because he turned and nodded to the rookie assistant coach on the bench, Tim Duncan.
You got it.
No, you don't got it. She's got it. She's got tenure over you. Now she's in her 7th season as an assistant coach for Gregg Popovich. And obviously he has been a pipeline of assistants going to head coaching jobs.
Yes.
If you observe her closely, you know she has presence about her. Mm-hmm. She has a command to her. She has a stature about her because she exudes a confident feel for basketball that won over all those players immediately. The one I was most skeptical of was Tony Parker. She played point guard at the highest level in the WNBA.
Yeah, 6-time All-Star.
For the New York Liberty, her number retired into the Ring of Honor. And then as a San Antonio Spur, her jersey was retired number 25. So it was 8 years in New York, 8 years for San Antonio Stars. And what was she as a point guard? She was obviously smart. She was a leader. And she was tough, physically and mentally tough, and she competed at the highest level, Olympics and in WNBA.
Yep.
And right away, Tony Parker was in awe of her. And she spent a year when she was hurt helping out there, and Tony just gravitated to her because he liked her view of it, her vision of how to play point guard and what worked and what doesn't. As Pop always says, she has a knack for what works and what does not work.
Skip, the thing is, talking to Tony Dungy, I had him on my podcast, and he said, and I asked him about coaching Peyton Manning. He said, Peyton is really easy to coach, but he's very difficult to coach. He says, he wants you to help him become better. He wants to be great. The problem is his expectations. The players, can you help me become great? But you have to temper their expectations because, bro, hold on now. We can't do all this in one day. But over time, as you said, the amount of time that she spent in San Antonio, and they were like, hold on. She was here with Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu and Kawhi. She already got credibility. She got credit. Anybody that comes in there, because it's hard for you to be better than what they were.
I got it. You're right. Okay, so Gregg Popovich said many times publicly, the day Tim Duncan walks out that door, I'll be walking right behind him. Boy, that was 4 years ago. And guess who's still head coach? So I
He's
don't.
72 next month, Skip.
I got it. But I don't know. I think in his heart of hearts, he's thinking, and if I quit, I would do what?
Exactly.
Drink wine?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. So I think he still loves it. I think he's still on fire to do it. And I'm not sure he's going to go anytime soon.
I don't either.
They have another bright, young, obviously male assistant on staff named Will Hardy, and the insiders all tell me he's the next Budenholzer, obviously the coach of the Bucks.
Because you mentioned Pop's tree, Skip. Budenholzer, Brett Brown was in Philly for a number of years, Jim Brolin, Taylor Jenkins in Memphis, and James Borrega. I think that's in Charlotte. So
I mean, he's doing well. They wiped out Dallas.
And
LaMelo's starting to
Melo's starting to pop.
Yeah. Okay. So the point is that Will Hardy's got next as far as somebody's going to come and snatch him up who needs a head coach elsewhere. But to your point, to me, Becky is still perfectly positioned to follow Pop.
Right.
And I think R.C. Buford really has the highest respect for her. And he loves Will Hardy, too.
Right.
So to me, the best move would be for her to hang in and hang on until he finally says that's enough. I don't know when that's going to be, and I'm not sure it's going to be anytime soon. But the time is feeling righter and righter to have a female head coach in this league. Because what do I see? And I watch NBA like crazy. Seems like every game I turn on, I see a female referee.
Yep.
It's
I see a lot of them. Yeah, I see a lot more.
It's like a new movement. Thanks to our commissioner right now, he's saying more. Let's even it up. And again, the more female refs there are, the more respect they will garner, and the more it'll seem commonplace to have a female in a power position during an NBA game.
For the longest time, Skip, it was just two. I can't remember the black female, but I know Dee Cantor was one of the white female. So it was for the longest time. And like you said, now I see three or four of them. And I think they just elevated another one a couple of weeks ago. Skip, I believe it's probably going to have to be there. I agree with you. I believe she's going to have to succeed Pop. Because I don't know if the owners are like, Skip, they're old school. And they've been doing it, they hire according to like, okay, you just hire this guy because they fit the profile.
I got it.
So I believe it's going to be a situation like this. And sometimes, and if I'm Pop, I would leave a year earlier. If you look at the way Coach Smith did it in North Carolina, Skip, he left the cupboard for Bill Guthrie to have something. Tony Dungy left the Indy so Jim Caldwell could have something.
He did.
Don't let the cupboard get totally barren so she doesn't really have a chance to succeed.
That's a good
and they can say, I told you she should have never got the job anyway.
Okay, she is now in the pipeline. It's Popline. Officially. I like Popline. But the point is, in 2017, she interviewed for the Bucks GM job.
Right.
Well, I want to see her be a head coach, but that's fine too. But then remember, just a few months back in October, she interviewed for the Indiana the head coaching vacancy. So you know how it works in the NFL. Once you get in the pipeline, your name's out there, and owners start thinking, well.
Yeah, I didn't hire her, but she was a great interview.
Yeah,
She really knows her stuff, and that word.
Well, it's almost like the Rooney Rule for minority coaches in football has to start working for the female to get the head job in basketball, right?
Yep.
Okay, so she just needs interviews to get her name out there and her presence out there, and she is highly capable. Now let's see if somebody has the guts.
That's what it's going to take, Skip.
And I believe there are 9 female coaches in the league right now, so the number's rising. And also, I liked what Frank Vogel said. He said the guys respect her, and that's what it really should be all about. I just look forward to the day where this isn't a story for us. I know it's a step in the right direction, but that's what I'm looking forward to someday, hopefully soon, guys.
No mercy.
Well, here's the situation, guys. We will finally be able to crown the NFC East winner this Sunday. Washington can seal the division with a win over Philadelphia. However, if they lose, then it will be the winner of the Cowboys and Giants game that will be playoff bound. Former Cowboys and Eagles cornerback Orlando Scandrick is joining us now. Orlando, I feel like I've been asking you all year, but finally, this is when it really matters. In your opinion, who wins the NFC East?
The loyalist Cowboy fan in me is going to say the Cowboys. But when it comes down to it, I just don't know if the stinky Eagles have anything left in the tank.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're right. They don't have anything left in the tank. Look, the Cowboys are going to win this game. So basically, it's on Washington. So the Giants are not winning. You don't win a game, and you look at them the way they played over the last 3 weeks. They've lost all of their games by at least 14 points. 2 of the last 3 games, Daniel Jones have gone down at least 6 times in those games, because what makes him a competent quarterback, a serviceable quarterback, is his ability to get out of harm's way. He can run. Hence the 80-yard takeoff and run that he had against the Eagles the first game, and they came back about 3 weeks later, and he had a 34-yard touchdown run. But if he can't run, he's not good enough just sitting in the pocket throwing the football. If he was Tom Brady, if he was Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes, and he had that type of arm and had that type of accuracy, I can say, you know what, he can beat him from the pocket. But I haven't seen any of that where he can just consistently beat someone from the pocket. So I believe the Eagles. I believe the Cowboys will win this game very easily. Now, what it comes down to, do I believe Alex Smith, who hasn't played in 2 weeks, 3 weeks now? It'll be 3 weeks with that bum calf. How much can he do? Can he not turn the football over, put the Eagles on short fields? You got to make Jalen Hurts drive the length of the football field to get points. And the one thing that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, Jalen Hurts has turned the football over too. We talk about Carson Wentz turning it over. Jalen Hurts is a turnover machine too now. You see that, right?
Both of them. But look, Skip, I know you shaking your head, but let me dive into it. So when I look at football from all my 25 years of experience, I start from the front to the back. So I start from the trenches to the skill players. And I just think that Washington is too good, up front, offensively and defensively. I think the Eagles will not be able to protect them. And I think with possibly Fletcher Cox missing this last game, the Eagles won't be able to affect Washington, and they won't even need Alex Smith or Tyler Heineke, whatever his name is. He won't even have to put the ball in harm's way, and they'll just turn around, they'll run it, they'll win ugly, and then they'll force some turnovers from the turnover machine, and then But I would love to see the Cowboys win, but I think the Cowboys take care of business, and they let things have to fall in their place.
Okay, before I answer this question one last time, I want to ask Mr. Scandrick a question, and nobody should be able to answer it better than he should be able to. Obviously, you played many years for the Dallas Cowboys, but you finished your career playing 3 games, 2019, for the Eagles. So you have some feel for that locker room and how they feel about the Dallas Cowboys. So give me your gut feeling about deep down, subliminally, psychologically, subconsciously, the Eagles have to be thinking, if we win this game, we're going to be winning the division for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, they have to go win at New York first, but they'll know this because they're playing the night game. So deep down, how much will it gnaw at them that they could be winning the division for the team they hate the most?
I don't think that that's a factor at all. Because at the end of the day, this is their job. This is how they feed their families. Guys are going to have a chance to go into the offseason and put themselves in position to make a lot of money coming up in free agency. And, if you go out there and you lay an egg, some guys may not make any money. And this is always a job audition for the other 31 teams in the league. So I think they go out there and they play hard. One thing they do always seem to do is play hard regardless of who's on the field. So I think they do play hard, and I don't think it really matters to them if Dallas wins the division or not.
Okay.
Skip, you also might be playing hard for a new coach. He's going to be looking at that tape, too. Ain't no assurances. I know Doug Peterson said that, I have every reason to believe that I'm coming back in 2021. But I hadn't heard Jeffrey Lurie say that.
Okay, so back to the question at hand. Back to the Cowboys. We haven't discussed the Jason Garrett factor. Obviously, Jason Garrett coached this team for way too long. Way too long, and he coached Scandrick for a long time.
You got 3 division titles.
Yeah, lots of 8 and 8s in there. Old 8 and 8 Jason, and he's up there trying to direct that offense, and it's going nowhere slowly as usual. No surprise here. But obviously, Jason knows where all the bodies are buried in the Cowboy defense because he knows it up close and personal. I don't think it's a huge advantage for New York because everybody knows where the bodies are buried on the Dallas defense because they're everywhere, right?
Just run the football.
You just run it. Again, do the Giants have the capability to run the football? Well, it's not what they do very well because they're ranked by Pro Football Focus, the 26th rushing attack, and they're down to Wayne Gallman. And I've always respected him because he will try hard, but he's got one 100-yard game this year, and it was at Seattle when they pulled off maybe the upset of the year with Colt McCoy at quarterback. What was it, 4 games back?
Yep.
And now they've lost 3 in a row. So speaking of not having enough left in the tank, they hate Dallas too, so I'm sure they will play as hard as they can. I just don't think they're good enough because they don't rush the passer and they don't protect their passer enough, and so that should be huge advantage for Dallas. So Dallas is actually favored by 2 points at New York. So I believe Dallas is going to win this game 30-20 because Dallas had just caught fire on offense, and it's hard to deal with Andy Dalton throwing to Michael Gallup. And if you want to double or triple him, if you want to try to take him completely away, good luck with Amari Cooper and better luck with CeeDee Lamb. So I see Dallas winning this game fairly easily. Now I'm back to Orlando's contention, Orlando Scandrick, that the Eagles don't have enough left in the tank. Well, man, they gave Dallas all they wanted last Sunday.
For a half.
Well, wait a second. Jalen Hurts had 411 total yards in that game. Is that good?
In 3 turnovers.
Have you ever seen a game won in 30 minutes?
A game won in 30 minutes? No. So what?
They didn't have nothing left. But this is what scares me. I don't even want to get back into the Eagles. The Eagles, they don't have it. That's last week's lunch. But to get back to the Giants, what scares me about the Giants is they're so well coached on defense. And it's going to be a colder game. It's going to be an 80% precipitation. It's going to be a wet game. And I don't have the confidence to when they stack the box, and when they put 8 people in the box and they totally commit to making Dalton beat you, I don't have the confidence that Andy Dalton could take the Dallas Cowboys anywhere.
There was a stretch there, Skip, where the Giants defense, they could generate pressure. You remember how they was getting to Tom? They was getting at Tom, made Tom uncomfortable. And that was one of the reasons why they beat Seattle in Seattle. They got Russell Wilson 5 times. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I don't know what happened. What happened was that their quarterback started turning the football over and they started going 3 and out. And after a while, 3 and out, you'll wear down any defense. And I think they started to get worn down. And I think if I'm the Cowboys, that's my plan. My plan is to try to keep him out there as long as I possibly can. And then if I'm on the defensive side, Mike Nolan, hey, go get him. He can't go anywhere. Where you running? The last thing that you ever want to try to do, if you got to pull a hamstring, is move suddenly. So I'm turning the hounds loose. I'm blitzing my linebackers. I'm coming to get them.
I will give you this. The Giants' defense is 10th in points allowed.
Yeah.
So you can say they're a top 10 defense, right? Mm-hmm. Orlando, I don't know if you've been watching closely Andy Dalton over the last 3 games. He's got 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, and he's on fire with Michael Gallup.
On fire versus the Bengals with their 3rd-string quarterback. The 49ers with their 3rd-string quarterback, and the Eagles with their practice squad players.
Okay, did you happen to notice what the Bengals did after they lost 30-7 to Andy Dalton in his return to his old stomping grounds what they turned right around and did to the Steelers, 27-17?
What I'm trying to tell you is it's a division game. Sharp, you know when you play in the league, you have division games. It don't matter how bad you are. You're going to compete.
Okay, and
I'm not
I guess
ready to
you'll
crown
dismiss
Andy
this
Dalton.
as another division game, but then Andy Dalton hung 41 on San Francisco. San Francisco turned right around and held Kyler and company to 12.
Well, they might have should have
division
passed. They might have should have started C.J. Beathard instead of Mullins, because Mullins is a turnover machine. All you got to do is just pull him arm and the ball will just hit the dirt.
Okay, so Dallas has scored 30, 41, and 37. That's an average of 36 points a game over the last 3. And you're saying Andy Dalton can't get it done?
Can I get me one of them cases of dude? Can I get a bet for cases of dude that they won't score 30 points?
30? I got them scoring.
They won't even score 25.
Okay, I'll do 25 for a case.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now all of a sudden he believes the Cowboy offense should be, they should average 35, 36 points a game because they play some bad teams. Skip, that's not who they are.
Zeke finally,
but if you know Skip,
he had his career, his season best game on Sunday against Philadelphia. And I know it's not much. It's only the second time he went over 100, but he went for 105.
Week 16, Skip.
Did Zeke not run hard on Sunday?
Yes.
Well, here we go. He'll be running hard against that defense. He's going to make that defense respect him. Have you been checking out this tight end named Dalton Schultz? So we got Andy Dalton and Dalton Schultz. That's a connection, Dalton to Dalton. Does that not work?
So that's one of the better quarterback-tight end combinations now, huh?
No, well, you told me you respect him.
Oh, yeah. He's got a nice game. Yeah.
He can block a little bit. We even got the Belldozer going. Blake Bell, the former Oklahoma quarterback. He can block and he can catch. And they have taken off on offense. The offensive line is passable.
Oh, this joker naming everybody now. You talking about we got the Belldozer. He just naming everybody.
Well, he's been contributing. They even used him on a quarterback sneak on a 4th and short the other day, where he went in motion and then just took the snap. Unstoppable.
I want you to have this energy early in 2021.
I've got it.
I want you to have it early in 2021 Monday.
Yeah.
Monday at about about 6:32. I would need this energy that you got right now.
I'm just so disappointed in Orlando Scandrick, how pessimistic he is about his Cowboys.
Because my job is not to be a fan.
No, that's
or
true.
A loyalist. My job is to tell it how I see it. And Connor McGovern and Joe Looney and Connor Williams against Leonard Williams and
Leonard Williams is payday, Skip. It's a payday game for him.
Tackles. Those guys are good defensive tackles. And every time I've been in Dallas and we looked ahead and we've had a game to play to win to get in, especially against the Giants, I remember getting the doors blown off a lot of the times, being favorites.
Yep.
So I got to be realistic.
Do you remember what Andy Dalton did to the Giants in his first little soiree as a Cowboy? Do you remember what happened at the end of that game after, unfortunately, my man Dak Prescott was down and out in that game? Do you remember what he did?
He came in and he threw 2 good passes. Then he came next week and he was a turnover machine against the Cardinals.
Yeah, but 2 great passes. Can we see those?
We got to go to break.
I got to see him. I got to see him. Just 2 shots to Michael Gallup. We're not going to break. I'm going to break you. Look at this. He's on the run and throws a rope to Gallup. This is at the end of the game. This is do or die. And then he throws a bomb and hits him right in the breadbasket with it. Love it.
But the thing,
walk-off field goal. Thank you, Andy Dalton. You want to talk clutch? That was clutch.
Man, stop it, Skip.
That was the Giants. That was a harbinger of things to come this Sunday. You know what harbinger is.
Yes, I do. But I also saw what came against Washington. Did you see what?
He had a concussion. He had COVID.
On Thanksgiving?
No, the first time.
Oh, yeah, COVID.
I thought he was pretty good on Thanksgiving, actually, but the defense got run off the field as usual.
But he did throw a pick 6.
No, not Thanksgiving.
Okay.
The first time they played Washington.
He was horrible, but he got concussed in the 3rd quarter.
Y'all need to just let Skip have his moment.
It's okay.
He has
they
a
have
feeling.
Caught fire, and you guys don't see what I see.
Exactly. And then come Monday at, 6:32 a.m., we'll have plenty to say and discuss, always. Orlando, we appreciate your time.
Get rid of Nolan. Get rid of this person.
Yeah, you know it's coming. It's coming. It's coming Monday.
All right. Orlando, have a nice and happy New Year. We'll check in with you soon.
No mercy.
While making an appearance on Bleacher Report's Untold Story series, Terrell Owens was asked if he has tried to mend his relationship with former teammate Donovan McNabb. T.O. replied by saying, quote, "I've tried, but he's phony." T.O. also didn't back down from the rumors that McNabb threw up in the huddle during the Super Bowl, saying he had talked to other teammates who saw the QB do it and that he knows for a fact that McNabb went out the night before the game. So, Shannon, whose side are you on here?
Neither. And I wish both of these guys would let it go. And I've talked to T.O. Skip on numerous occasions. I'm a little closer to T.O. Than I am Donovan. But although I know Donovan, but I've never talked to Donovan about this situation. But I've talked to T.O. about this numerous times. And I just, T.O., you need to let it go. Both of them, first of all, Skip, need to let it go. This transpired so long ago, Skip. You can't go back and replay the game. Skip, they had a sensational first year together. First pass Donovan threw, 80-plus yards, 81 yards to T.O., the very number that he had on. It was great. It didn't last long. And it just goes to show you how hard it is to win championships in the NFL, Skip, or at any level when you have two guys and they bicker back and forth at each other and they become envious of each other for whatever the reason. Maybe one has more success than the other. Maybe one gets more credit than the other. Whatever the case may be. But they need to let this go. And, you know, I wish Donovan hadn't said, well, we could win without him. We won before he got here. There was a lot of things. And let me tell you something about T.O., the guy that I know. T.O. is the type of guy, I don't care who you are or what position you hold. If he feels you've wronged him, he will never, ever let it go. He'll never let it go.
Agreed.
We have a very similar background. He was raised by his grandmom. Yep. I was raised by my grandparents.
Yep.
And so we're very similar, and upbringing and our ideology is a lot alike. But I've asked T.O. on numerous occasions, bro, just let it go. Just make peace with it. You and Donovan, it's time out for this. There's so much more important things going on than you two grown 40-plus-year-old men to be bickering about something that happened almost 20 years ago. But it seems like every time someone put a microphone or a camera in front of Donovan, he takes a shot at T.O. They ask T.O. about it. He'll take a shot at Donovan. And they both need to be the bigger and just let it go, Skip. Just let it go. It's over. It was 1 year. It was great. It didn't work out. Just move on. If you don't want to, I wish you could have a conversation like, bro, there's some things I said that I probably shouldn't have said. I apologize. Yeah, you're right, bro. Then we were young. There's some things that I said I shouldn't have said. But sorry about it. Hey, be the better man and move on. But I just don't see that happening, Skip. I really don't.
I have heard from Terrell about this on many shows that he has been on with me. I've talked at length with Donovan off camera about this. I've talked to 4 or 5 of the leaders on that team about what did transpire or did not transpire. So I think I have a pretty good command of it. I do agree with you. It's time to let it go. But the wounds are so deep here that it's impossible for either to let it go. I think Terrell, after he was finally granted his Hall of Fame membership alongside your bust, that it really gave him some new peace about who he is and what he accomplished. Right. And I think he was ready to let it go. And then Donovan did an interview with Untold Stories in which he rebroached the subject. He brought it back up. Yeah. And that's when Terrell decided, you're a phony, and I'm going to fire back because I'm going to do Untold Stories. Right. I'm going to get you. and he dredged it all back up. And there's a lot of hearsay going on here about whether he did throw up in the huddle. And Terrell admits, I didn't see him. Well, if you didn't see him, are you sure about it? And he said, well, a couple of teammates said they saw him throw up. I don't know if he threw up in his mouth and spit it out. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm not sure he got down on his knees and barfed. Yeah. Not sure about that one because I think it would have been caught on camera by somebody somewhere, right? Then this whole idea that he went out drinking the night before, and then Terrell suggests that before every big game he played, he went out drinking. Well, I don't know. I think a lot of guys go out to blow off a little steam, just to have a drink. I don't have any problem with that.
Well, but Skip, maybe in the room, because Mike had Mike Shanahan, was our head coach, like, guys, the bars are off limits.
No, absolutely.
Because the appearance of how it's going to look if somebody were to see you in there.
I'm with you.
So I'm not saying guys didn't have, Skip, obviously they had many bars in their room. I'm not saying guys didn't have a drink in their room, but it's hard for me to believe in a situation like that and I'm not saying that it happened or it didn't happen, that the night before the game, somebody would have saw something, that would have made the news.
Yeah, you're right about that. Okay, so let's go back to the genesis, the flashpoint of this. Remember, when Terrell first got there, coming from San Francisco to Philadelphia, during camp, they weren't just roommates, they were soulmates. They were besties, man.
Right.
They clicked and connected and till death do them part. And to your point, it worked right away on the field. It worked. And then all of a sudden, Terrell got sideways with management over his contract and this and that. He's always at it with somebody. And he's at it with Brad Childress, their offensive coordinator. And Donovan did not have his back, according to Terrell, the way Donovan had Westbrook's back when Brian Westbrook was in contract impasse with management, right?
Because the general rule of thumb, Skip, when someone's going through this, we don't talk on somebody else's money. Well, T.O. felt, well, you speaking positive about Brian Westbrook getting his money, but you mum when it come to me. I thought we supposed to be boys. And for whatever reason, and T.O. felt deep down inside that Donovan became envious of him because the people of Philly started T.O. And he felt that rubbed Donovan like, hold on, Robbie, I'm the quarterback. I've been here the longest. And T.O. rivaled Donovan in popularity. Now, that's what T.O. felt that some of this came from. T.O. also told me the story, and I don't know how many other people that he's told this. He said, and they were playing the Giants, and he ran a go route, and Donovan didn't see him. He didn't throw it. He said, Donovan, I had him on this go route.
Yeah, and he said,
and he shut up. And T.O. said, look, and Donovan told him that in front of everybody. And so he looked at him and he said, Sharp, it was never the same after that. So I just wish they could let it go. They're not going to let it go. As my grandmother used to say, boy, stirring up old, ish, it still stinks. The wounds are still there. So while you peeling the scab off, Skip, it's never going to heal. Just talk it out, guys. I mean, come on. After everything that's done happen in 2020, that pettiness.
Okay. Final point on this. This is where I am on Donovan's side. Donovan has believed and will believe to his grave that they played better without Terrell in the first two playoff games. They were at home against Dante Culpepper and the Vikings and against Michael Vick and the Atlanta Falcons. But they won fairly convincingly. The Culpepper game was it was a 3-point game, but they beat Michael Vick. Just Jim Johnson's defense were all over. It's 27-10. And Donovan played pretty to very well in those two home playoff games. And then they faced Belichick and Brady in the Super Bowl in Jacksonville.
Skip, you wouldn't beat Belichick. They lost the game anyway. But if you thought you was going to play better without Skip, T.O., look, Andy's going to get the ball.
Just remember, he's coming off a broken leg, and he rushed back.
Skip, he had, if I'm not mistaken, he had a very similar injury to what Dak Prescott had.
It's the Dak, and it was the horse collar injury.
That's why they banned it.
Got it.
But Skip, I mean, 9 for $122, and it wasn't like Andy was forcing the ball. He's just like, if they're gonna single cover him with Asante Samuel, whomever, I like this matchup.
Several of the leaders told me Donovan is of this mindset. Terrell rushed back, and he just wasn't at full speed because how can you be? It's too short a turnaround.
I can't tell.
Okay, well, that's what they thought. So again, he was being single covered a lot. And Donovan felt like he had to force feed the ball to Terrell. He threw him 14 targets and he caught 9 for 122. There's one 36-yarder, which is fairly impressive, but no touchdowns and no threat of touchdowns. So to me, they're all believing, and again, this is easy 2020 hindsight because you're losing to a really good football team, a dynasty, okay? But remember, throw up or no throw up, late in the game with 1:48 left, Donovan finally found little Greg Lewis's little speedster for 30 yards. I think we have the 30-yarder. Okay, that was a good throw.
Yeah, it was a great throw.
Maybe you had to throw up to get it out of your system. I don't know.
That was a great throw, great route.
Okay, and that cut the margin to 24-21 with 1:48 left, which forced an onside kick.
Coach Belichick with zero blitz again.
Okay, there you go. There you go. And they did not. New England recovered the onside. My man Christian Fourier my friend from ESPN.
Yeah.
He recovered it.
Right.
Their tight end at the time.
Yep.
And they milked the clock quite a bit, and then they punted back to him, and Donovan got the ball back at his 4-yard line with I think it was 46 seconds left, and they couldn't do anything, and he ended the game with an interception to Rodney Harrison.
Right.
He did throw 3 picks in the game, but now it's easy 20/20 hindsight. They're all looking back saying, well, Terrell rushed back so he could be the hero, and he couldn't do enough to justify us force-feeding him the football. That's the contention.
Yeah. I think the thing is, for me, I can just admit, look, if one of our better players is trying to come back and is going to give it, and I believe they're a better football team with T.O. on the field. And I understand, Skip, they won those 2 games. But, Skip, if you look at the regular season, Donovan was a different quarterback. Donovan has never, ever looked as good as he did that year with T.O.
I'll buy that. I agree.
Any year before, and go back and look it up.
Well, for that matter, Jeff Garcia has never looked better than he looked with Terrell Owens.
No.
It was magic, man.
Skip, you think about where the guy, everywhere the guy, you say, well, he destroyed it. But you look at him in San Francisco. You look at him in Philly. You look at him in Dallas. He goes to Buffalo. He leads them. He goes to Cincinnati. He leads. He could play.
Yep.
Skip, I get it.
I know he could play, but I called him Team Obliterator for a reason, because in the locker room, he was hard to deal with. He was his own worst enemy.
He was a competitor. He wanted the ball. What we see a lot of these quarterbacks, the emotion and the rawness that they have, that's just T.O. And you know, he's just like, man, he wanted to be selfish, but he believes that with the ball in my hand, Skip, I can make plays that the guy that you're trying to give the ball to, they just can't make.
Okay. Well, in the end, Terrell's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm pretty sure Donovan will not be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't believe so either.
Yep.
No mercy.
The final Sunday of the regular season kicks off with the Cowboys in a must-win game against the Giants. Then the Bears try to win their way into the playoffs against a Packers squad gunning for the top seed in the NFC. Or you may have some other regional action as well. I just can't believe we're already here. Check local listings for the games in your area only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Well, after trailing through 3 quarters to Trae Young and the Hawks, Kyrie showed up in the 4th quarter, scoring 17 of his 25 points to pull out the Nets 145-141 in the win. Kevin Durant had a game-high 33 points to go along with 11 boards and 8 assists. So, Shannon, are KD and Kyrie proving they're the best duo in basketball right now?
No, I mean, I'm not. I could have swore about 75 days ago I watched AD and LeBron lift the Larry Brown trophy. Skip, they're fantastic. They were marvelous last night, and they needed to be. They scored 33 of their 43 in the 4th quarter. KD had 16. Kyrie had 17. Kyrie was magnificent. KD was magnificent. But, Skip, we need to see this thing play out over time, because what we've seen is Kyrie not play a full season in a very long time. And can he hold up over an entire season? If he did it, we'll see. It's TBD. But they're playing phenomenal right now. And they needed every bit of Kyrie and KD's spectacularness last night to overcome. Let's get Atlanta looks really good. They got shooters galore. Trae Young, Bogey, Cam Reddish. I mean, look.
See what Bogey did last night?
Yeah.
Their newest addition, 6 of 11 from 3. That'll work.
So for me, Skip, look, those two are going to score. They did a great job. And if they're not sensational, that's their absolute best, Atlanta's going to win that game. It's not often, Skip, you see a game 145-141 in regulation. So that lets you know that they were putting the ball in the basket. I don't know about a whole lot of defense being played. and who knows? Maybe that's where the NBA is headed. But no, I'm not ready to concede that just yet, Skip. I need to see more. I need to see it over the entire season. Can Kyrie stay healthy? Because we have yet to see him stay healthy for an entire season in a very long time.
Let me check my watch. 75 days ago, I watched LeBron and AD hoist the trophy in the bubble. And guess who wasn't in the bubble? There's no KD and no Kyrie.
That's not our fault.
Yeah. They thought they were ready to come back, but at the last second, they both said, nah, we'll just take it off. We'll be ready when the next season starts.
We're going to leave a little teaser. We're going to tease y'all, let y'all see what's going to happen.
Shannon Sharp, this is happening. these guys are going to be better than your guys. And I'll give you that they got to show they can sustain their health.
I'm not saying that they can't be. I'm just saying not right now. Can we see it? I mean, all you saw was the trailer. You really believe the movie's going to be that good?
The movie has started. We've seen the first 15 minutes, and it looks like it's going to win the Academy Award.
It's Cleopatra. It's 5 hours. You know about that? It's just 10 minutes of a 5-hour movie.
No, there's no Cleopatra here. Nobody's going to die in this one.
I'm just saying it's got somebody to live in a movie.
Yeah, okay. The fourth quarter last night was something to behold.
It was.
Because Kyrie Irving was off. He had missed his first 7 threes. And it looked like they had a little back and forth over near the bench at one point during a timeout in which Kevin basically told him to snap out of it. I don't know if we have that. We might. I think we were looking for it, but I'm not sure we have it. I saw it on one of the highlights. Here we go. There's a timeout, and Kyrie walks over, and Kevin is, I don't know exactly what's going on, but he's saying snap out of it, I believe, because Kyrie was not himself to that point. And once they both calmed down and locked in, it was nuclear. And as you point out, Kevin scores 16 in the fourth, and Kyrie scores 17 by making 3 of 4 threes.
Skip, when he start dancing with the ball, Skip, you can't do anything.
I agree. Okay, this is why I would take this duo over your duo. The combined clutchness here is at a supreme level. These are both fourth quarter closers, and they have proven at the highest level in NBA Finals they can close big games. And when you combine them, I wasn't sure they could fit with each other, but they seem to fit just fine with each other because they love each other. And that's a start. Westbrook and Harden loved each other, but their games didn't really fit with each other.
Correct.
Okay? But Kevin's 7 feet tall and Kyrie's about 6'2". So it works. And they both have that takeover gene in them. And what I love the most about Kevin Durant is the one thing I don't love about your man LeBron James.
What?
When the money's on the table and he goes to that thing called the free throw line because they're free, look what he did in the fourth quarter.
9 of 9.
He went 9 of 9 just in the fourth quarter. It's killer. They're such huge, extra easy points that if you can go just salt the game away at the free throw line, it's unbeatable.
And think about that, Skip. What's so amazing about that? Those were the only free throws he shot. He didn't shoot any free throws into the fourth quarter.
But both of them finally said, okay, that's enough. And Atlanta is legit, man.
Yeah.
They're going to be they're
going to be a problem, Skip.
They're just a problem. I don't even know if I want to call them a contender yet, but they're going to be a problem for everybody they play.
Yep.
Okay, so they were a big problem for the Nets for a long time until those two nuclear weapons just said, you know what, that's enough of this. And Kevin did his damage at the free throw line, and Kyrie did most of his at the three-point line. And when you combine that, they scored 33 in the fourth quarter. They won the fourth quarter 43-37. Well, that's a lot of points to be scored in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. And it didn't seem like anybody was playing any defense, Skip. And when you look at it, they combined for 37 made threes. Everybody was shooting the three. KD didn't shoot the three ball well. Kyrie didn't shoot the three ball well.
Not for the whole game.
Not for the whole game.
No.
But as you mentioned, in the fourth quarter, KD found a way to get to the foul line, made his free throws, and then Kyrie started dancing with the basketball. He had a three-point ball going, so now, Skip, I got to hug up on him because I can't just let him raise up and shoot. Now he's all between his legs, all behind his back, and now he's doing all this stuff to you.
So what amazes me the most about Kevin, if we call him 7 feet, and you always give him 7 feet, he's not listed. I think he's listed 6'10" or whatever, but I think he's 7 feet tall.
I do too.
Have you ever seen a 7-footer make free throws at a better clip than this guy?
No.
Because Joel Embiid's a good free throw shooter, but he ain't Kevin Durant.
Yeah, only a handful of guys have been this tall. He, Dirk Nowitzki, those guys that can shoot free throws. It's a rarity for a guy to be that tall and shoot the free throw that well.
Yeah, because LeBron is 6'9", and I think his hands may be a little too big because he never seems to have the right sure grip on the basketball from the free throw line. He's always sort of changing his motion.
It's all about repetition, Skip. It's like for whatever reason, LeBron could like, okay, I missed this shot, and I'll come back and I'll shoot the same shot. I'm going to make it. But it seems like if he gets to the free throw line, he misses a couple. He's like, okay, well, I need to back up. Well, I need to dribble 3 times instead of 2. I need to bend my knees instead of not. So he just can't seem to find a rhythm that he feels comfortable with and says, you know what? Just do it over and over and over and over again.
Listen, if you watch Kevin Durant closely, as I do, watch how many free throws he swishes, where there's like no doubt. I'm not, LeBron will get them where they'll bounce on the front and the back and then they'll fall in. But these are clean. And last night, I think he swished every free throw he shot.
But you know what, Skip? Because of his arc, it's going to swish. It either going to swish or it's coming out. And LeBron's shot, Skip, is flat. It's not the arc is not as high as KD. But KD was sensational last night. Kyrie was sensational last night. But we know what Kyrie is. Kyrie, he's spectacular. I mean, we haven't seen a guy. There are very few guys that have that kind of skill set, Skip. From the three-point line to the mid-range to the handles, the English kiss off the glass with either hand. We've never seen anything like that. Isaiah could pat the ball like that, but I'm not sure Isaiah could shoot the 3 ball like that. Isaiah had a nice mid-range game. Isaiah could get to the hole, but not like this, Skip. Not
Isaiah
like
could
this.
Get hot and stretchy.
Oh, yeah.
This guy.
That 25 in the fourth quarter on that bum ankle against the Lakers.
I was there. Never seen anything quite like that.
People don't realize how good Isaiah was, Skip. He just happened to be in the wrong area. He played in the 80s, and you got Magic, you got Bird, you got Jordan, you got Kareem. And he's a little guy. He got lost.
I was going to say he's 6 feet tall.
Right. He got lost in the shuffle.
Yep, I agree.
He was special.
Shannon, this is it. These two.
We see you.
Yeah.
We see you in the big final.
I'd pay to watch that.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
We got something for, I don't know when we see y'all again, but we got something for y'all too.
Who's y'all?
Yeah, you know who.
The Clippers?
Yep.
Who are
Leatherface.
4-1 to your 3-2?
We got something for Kawhi. Might catch it with another bow.
The Clippers who blew out the Trailblazers who beat the Lakers in the same
So
building?
you one of those guys. Okay, they beat y'all, we beat them, so we better than
So
y'all.
we're 31 points better than you are.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah,
when we play y'all again, we got some more do on it.
Do you? Okay. I'm good with that.
Ron got something for you.
Really? I think PG-13's got something for you.
PG 13%. His day coming. Yeah, he feeling real good about himself, but his day coming.
Playoff
Interesting. I saw the gift that LeBron sent you, Shannon. I understand why you got to be friends with the Lakers these
Get a little
days.
something. Might have me like 2-3 fingers up
Skip,
tonight.
something's going on there with that relationship. He's very on the inside, Shannon.
No mercy.
Ezekiel Elliott isn't worried about what the Cowboys' record will be as long as Dallas makes the playoffs. Zeke said that winning the NFC East at 7-9 is the same as winning it at 14-2, since once you make the playoffs, records are out the window and it's win or go home. I mean, Shannon, does he have a point here?
Yeah, Skip, the point is that it doesn't matter what your record is as long as you win the division, you get a home playoff game. But there have been more 14-2 teams that advanced to the Super Bowl than 7-9 teams. So you would have to feel good if you're 14-2 and you make the playoffs as opposed to 7-9. So many things and basically, I think you was reading off what they would have to do in order to get to the Super Bowl. But he's right. At the end of the day, Skip, it's about winning in the division and having a home playoff game, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know if they feel as good about themselves as, say, Green Bay feels about themselves, or New Orleans feel about themselves, or the Saints or some of these other teams that's been playing particularly well all year long feels about themselves. But he's right in theory. It doesn't matter what your record is. If you win the division, you get a home playoff game. You can win 5 games. But if you got 5 victories and everybody else in your division has 4 victories, you win the division and you're getting a home playoff game. And it might mean 11-5 or 12-4 team is coming to see you. So in theory, he's right.
I loved what my man Zeke had to say. I don't love that he's lost his burst, but I love his heart and I love his guts and I love how hard he runs and what he preaches to his team, because you realize I started covering this team when the great Tom Landry was the head coach. What was the number one thing that Tom Landry always preached year after playoff year? He used the operative word, you need to streak into the playoffs. He said that's the key to success in the NFL is streaking into the playoffs.
Yep.
You would know this as well as anybody, because you don't want to back in, because when you back in, you have doubt. It creeps into the back of your mind, and inevitably, in your first playoff game, something doesn't quite go right and you go wrong, okay? So there's something about unity and momentum and that magical quality of takeoff. I can't explain it, but I've been around teams that just took off. They gelled, they clicked, they came together, and they figured out a way that worked for them to win football games. And this team magically has figured out how to win football games, albeit against Cincinnati and San Francisco and Philadelphia, but right on schedule, benefiting from, you can argue, the worst division in the history of this league. They found themselves as everybody else was losing themselves, because the Giants have lost 3 in a row. Washington, with quarterback quandary, has lost 2 in a row. The Eagles hung in for a while, and then it was head-to-head with Dallas, and they were the odd team out. So all of a sudden, I love what he's preaching, Zeke's preaching to his choir in his locker room, that, hey, what's it really matter? We could be 14-2, we could be 7-9, and we're going to have the same feeling because we get to play, just by rule, we get to play a home playoff game. You don't get a bye, but you get a home playoff game. Well, this team doesn't need a bye. This team needs to play another game and another game. I believe they're going to win at New York. They're 2-point favorites to win at New York. I believe New York is the most favorable matchup within the division for Dallas.
Yes.
So I like their odds. I believe they'll win 30-20. And then you let the chips fall, because you're going to go into the home playoff game, even if it's against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, you're going to feel good about yourselves because a lot of good things have been happening. When suddenly you find the magic formula on defense to create turnovers, I don't even know how to teach it, how to coach it. You've seen it happen. It's just contagious.
Yeah, it just comes.
I don't know. I don't know what happens.
Bunches.
Sometimes you just get lucky bounces, you get lucky breaks. The ball, it's that oblong, weird football, and it bounces your way.
Yep.
Well, it started bouncing their way because they got 10 takeaways in 3 games when they couldn't take it away from a baby in the first whatever game, the first
10-11 game, they could not.
They could not. And they were on a historic pace to give up the most rush yards in the history of this league. And I believe that the coordinator should have been fired somewhere around midseason. There was a mutiny. Jerry got rid of every free agent that he signed because they were all rebelling against Mike Nolan. And somehow the ones who were left just said, let's just figure this out. And out of nowhere came Randy Gregory. He's really good. He's Pro Bowl caliber.
Yeah.
He's a game-changing, difference-making pass rusher.
Yep.
Well, DeMarcus Lawrence, every other game is that guy also. Right. I don't know what lights his fire, but if his fire is lit, Randy Gregory's is always lit. But he's only had about 5 games of this, and so Jerry's even talking about his conditioning isn't quite up to par yet, up to speed.
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, but Skip, I think the thing that they do really well with Randy Gregory is that they don't tire him out. They let him. He's a specialist. So let him just specialize. Let him go get the quarterback. You don't want him wanting offensive tackles wearing on him. You don't want people cutting him down on the run game. Just let him come in. Let it get second and long. Let it get third and long. So that joker fresh. He might not give you but 25 plays, but those going to be 25 hellacious plays.
All right. Aldon Smith has been a force. He's not the best pass rusher, but he is so big and so strong and so experienced. He can hold that line.
Well, the thing is that what Randy Gregory can do, and it's very unique, and if you look at all the great edge rushers, Skip, they can bend. If you look at Randy Gregory, he can bend. You look at D-Law can bend. If you can do that, you're going to be elite at pass rusher.
Okay. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Donovan Wilson at the back end of my defense, he's a playmaker. He's a hitter.
Stephon Diggs is his brother, Trayvon.
Okay.
He's a ball hawk. You can get him now. You can get him with a couple of double moves, but you better be careful now.
Okay. And again, I come and go on Jalen Smith, but I got to tell you, he plays his tail off.
He plays hard.
He flies around. Sometimes he's flying the wrong place at the wrong time. But he led them in tackles against Philadelphia and was all over the field.
Chris, Skip, they tell you, sometimes good things happen when you just hustle.
That is correct.
And he was hustling.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts fumbled the football. Guess what? He hustling. He right there, Johnny on the spot. He get it.
Okay.
Big turnover. Because he could, you saw Kelsey almost got it back. Jalen Smith not hustling. They get the ball back. Who knows? They maybe go in and score. It's a one-score game.
On offense, when you have Andy Dalton, he's capable of putting up big numbers. Is he consistently capable? I don't know. But he's done it at such a high level for so long. I trust him in these games. He's been in a lot of big games when he was
You trust him, huh?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Well, does he not have 3 of the best weapons in the league?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I trust him.
Okay.
And you got Zeke playing as hard as he's played, as fresh as he's played. He says he's healthy as he's been for a couple of years. And Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz,
I'm trying to figure out
you got weapons.
I'm trying to figure out as a running back how you get healthier at the end of the season.
That's what he said.
I think what happened was he got healthier when Tony Pollard started running.
It's possible.
It's amazing when Tony Pollard break off a 40-yarder skip and Tony Pollard breaking out 10 and 15-yarder. Man, you know what? I don't feel bad at all, man.
Well,
good.
For 3 games, he had been kicked in the calf, and it was like a bruised calf, not a pulled calf,
right.
Bruised.
And then plus, what did he do earlier, Skip? He went like 3-4 games in a row.
Fumble. Okay? So they're not turning the ball over.
Right.
They're creating turnovers. It's contagious, the momentum, and again.
So this L, go ahead and get this L up out of here so I can be done with you on Monday.
Yep. Nope. You're going to have one more big week of me.
Nope.
Yep. One more big week. And then here comes Tampa Bay, and the dream dies.
Washington football team go put this thing to it.
No.
Washington football team.
Alex Smith is not good enough. Speaking of big games, do you trust Andy Dalton or Alex Smith more in big games?
Give me check down.
No, give me Andy Dalton.
Give me check down.
Hey, look at Alex Smith in San Francisco losing to Eli in a home NFC championship game.
You think about how many home games you guys have lost. Andy Dalton scored 0 points against San Diego one year, 27-0.
You know what? That's like last year. Seriously. It feels like last year.
You do know Andy Dalton is the reason why they got Joe Burrow up in Cincinnati, right? Okay.
I got it. But we benefited from that.
Yeah, you
did. He's the best backup quarterback in the league, and he's showing you that right now.
I think I take Old Fence Magic. Old Fence Magic.
Yeah?
I don't think he's the backup. I think he's the starter.
He's the backup.
It's a messy situation down there in terms of what Miami's going to do.
No mercy.
Packed weekend, so much to watch. And Saturday on Fox, All-American Marcus Zagorowski and number 11 Creighton battle Providence. That's Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Ahead of their college football playoff semifinal matchup tomorrow, Dabo Swinney doubled down on ranking Ohio State 11th in his coaches poll ballot, but offered a little more balance this time. Dabo said, quote, "If people have a problem with that, I don't really care. It's my poll." He then added, quote, "It's not that they're not good enough. I just don't think it's right that 3 teams have to play 13 games to be the champion and 1 team has to play 8. There's a lot here. Shannon, how much of an advantage will it be for Ohio State that Dabo ranked them 11th?
Well, I think the thing is that, for me, coaches use whatever they can, Skip, to motivate their team. And I'm sure Ryan Day said, you know why he didn't want to see us? Because he knows we can beat him. That's why he didn't want to see us. He didn't want to. Nobody wants us to be in the playoffs because they know what we represent. But the reason why normally coaches, Skip, they're like, yeah, you know, you give them all the credit and you build them up. This is a very good team. They're well coached. They got a lot of good players over there. But that's not what Dabo did. Dabo believes that his team is better. So I'm writing checks that my team has to cash. Like you tell the story how Jimmy called a radio station and said, yeah, we're going to beat the brakes off the 49ers.
Because he knew.
Exactly.
They were just better.
At the end
that was Troy Aikman versus Steve Young.
Okay. But, Skip, at the end of the day, you can motivate Coach Day, can do whatever he wants. But you better find an answer to Trevor Lawrence. He's the real deal. And what he do last year, he took off running on you. He got a big touchdown with his legs. So you got to count. Not only must you count for him for his arm because he can throw the football. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. But he got great legs. Now, Tony Elliott, the offensive coordinator, has COVID. He's not going to call the plays. So that might be a little influx. But for me, Skip, I think Clemson is the better football team. And Justin Fields has struggled the last 3 weeks. The first 3 weeks, he's completing 87%, over 300 yards passing, and everybody had him. He's the slam dunk number 2 pick. Over the last 3 games, Skip, 2 of the 3 games, he's been under 200 yards passing and completing about 58%. So it's forcing evaluators to go back and look. Maybe we've been overlooking something. Maybe we were too quick to jump on this bandwagon. But I just think Clemson is the better football team. I believe they beat Ohio State.
And I believe this comment from Dabo, this point of view, this position that he took will come back to haunt him tomorrow.
You taking Ohio State?
I'll take the points.
No! You don't get no points. If Dabo team wins, he was right.
I just have a feeling, I wouldn't bet on it, but I have a feeling Ohio State will win this game. So I'll go ahead and say I will predict they will win it.
Can we get them to?
And we'll get to that in just 1 second. But my proof positive happened last night. I don't know if you happened to watch my Oklahoma Sooners.
Oh,
maybe
I
even
did.
for a couple of minutes.
I did.
Because it was over in a couple of minutes.
Called Trask.
3 interceptions on his first 3 possessions.
Yeah.
You know why? My defense is the best it's been in at least 10 years. Baker didn't have this defense. Kyler didn't have this defense. Jalen did not have anywhere near this kind of defense that they're playing right now.
So we ain't gonna mention all them All-Americans that opted out for Florida, huh?
Okay, there was one for sure, and that would be Kyle Pitts, the 6'6" leading receiver.
Who's just gonna win the Mackey Award? He got and the first tight end to ever be nominated for the Biletnikoff Award because he's so good.
Okay.
And that running back.
Okay, but for proof positive, I give you to make my case that a kid for Florida, whose name I'm not going to mention, before the game, he said that they're not on our level. Speaking of SEC versus Big 12, they're not on our level. Every Oklahoma player I heard last night after the game, they wanted to talk about that quote. We showed we are on this level. This was an even-Steven matchup. You know, even Spencer Rattler tweeted about it right after the game because they took it very personally. These are just kids playing a grown man's game on big national TV stages, and they were extremely motivated last night to put Florida back in their place.
The thing is, the question that I have, Skip, and like Dan Mullen said, we could have opted out. Well, you probably should. With some of your key, but it just goes to show you, Skip, Kyle Trask had an unbelievable season. But you see, when he doesn't have those All-Americans, Kyle Pitt was the first-team All-American. The running back, I think, was the first or second team All-American athlete, return guy. So they have some athletes, Skip. And Kyle Trask looked very, very average last night. Skip, that guy led the nation in touchdown passes. And I think he led the nation in passing yards. And he looked like a guy.
He's a Heisman finalist.
Yes. Yeah. No, Skip, but I guess that's the Heisman curse because, a lot of guys win the Heisman, Skip, and then they go to the game. Vinny Testaverde, we've seen a lot of guys win the Heisman, and they're like, what happened to you?
Oklahoma averaged 10.5 yards per play last night for the whole game. Every time they snapped the football, they averaged 10.5. They had 684 total yards and rushing 435.
Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator is some trash.
Okay, well, he's been on the hot seat.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Did you see what Alabama did?
Yep.
No, we got that state.
Do you know what Oklahoma would do to Alabama? Do you know why Oklahoma should be in place of Notre Dame in this place? We would actually have a watchable game because it would be a shootout.
Skip, don't do that.
Listen,
Skip, we loaded.
Hey, Spencer Rattler has much more arm talent than Baker or Kyler or Jalen has.
Skip.
Spencer Rattler can throw it. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback.
Skip.
Yeah.
You see what we got over there?
I got it.
What y'all gonna do with Devontae? What y'all gonna do with Devontae?
I see Coach Saban giving up 40 and 40 and 40. I see it. He's saying, now it's not about defense, it's about offense. Okay, I got it.
It is.
Okay, you might be able to score 50 on Oklahoma's defense, but listen, Oklahoma might be able to put 50 on you.
Yeah,
it would be an all-time shootout, and I watched Notre Dame get blown off the field by Clemson. It was 34-3 at one point, wound up 34-10, right?
Let me ask you a question, Skip. Who y'all lose to?
Okay, do you realize my best defensive player was suspended from last year's bowl game, Ronnie Perkins, and my best... have you watched Ramondre Stevenson? Have you watched? He is the next Derrick Henry. He's 250 pounds and nobody can stop him. He had 200 last night.
I read him.
He was suspended for the first those games that they lost. And again, you have to understand that they were motivated last night by a comment, and I believe Ohio State will be motivated. And I give you what you're talking about, Justin Fields, but hey, watch them come back. They'll play their best game of the year.
Okay.
Well, my biggest question is about a former Sooner, Trey Sermon. Will he come alive again? Because he had an incredible game in the Big Ten championship game for the Buckeyes. Guys have been around the Buckeyes a lot. You better believe Ryan Day has that quote up on a board somewhere. They're going to be motivated to go. I'm looking forward to it.
No mercy.
Well, Luka's start to the season has been less than ideal for the preseason MVP favorite. The Mavericks' home opener last night, they lost to the Hornets 118-99. Luka struggled with his shot, going 4 of 10 from the floor and 0 for 5 from 3. And after the game, the third-year player was seen on the court getting some extra shots in. So that's a good sign. Shannon, what do you think is going on with Luka?
He'll be getting some extra conditioning in. Because his coach brought it up, and it was to my eyes. I didn't need Rick Carlisle to tell me. I know what my eyes saw.
Yep.
He's not in shape. He can only go for a couple of plays, and then he's blowed. And when you get blowed, Skip, your legs go, your shot go. And that's what I'm seeing. Mavericks won one game, and it's a 51-point win against the Clippers. He's 2 of 21 shooting from the three. That's unacceptable.
Say that again. 2 of 21. That's 19 misses and 21 attempts.
Come on, Luka. You better than this. Now, Skip, look, they're going to get Porzingis back in January, and I believe they'll be better. But this is unacceptable for a guy 21, 22 years of age to come in out of shape. If he's 30-plus years old, I get it. But this is first of all, you're a professional athlete. You should never, that's your job, is to be in shape.
This is the odds-on MVP favorite, right?
That was before they saw him.
Before they saw him.
Yeah, that was before they saw him.
So he didn't work on 2 things in the offseason, his conditioning or his three-point stroke, because he practiced after the game shooting threes. That might have been the first time he's practiced shooting threes in months, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I told you last year he could not shoot. He ranked 140th of 147 players shooting threes last year. He's below average for his ilk from the free throw line as a 2-guard, point guard, right?
And Skip, the last thing he's already slow. The last thing you can be is out of condition and slower on defense. He's about to be 350 out of 380 players.
Yep.
Come on, Luka, you better than this.
I mean,
baby bird.
He's got to be
still
better.
baby bird. He gonna get right.
Shots. That is it for Undisputed Good Stuff today, guys. Hope you have a great and happy New Year. Have a good one.